Welcome to another episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast. I am so excited because at the end of the day, we have another special guest. And if you are brand new to the Speak Black Woman podcast, what rock have you been under? If you're Black, if you're Latina, if you're a woman and you are in business and you also feel passionate about public speaking, you need to be here. And there's all different ways that you can use your voice in your business and in your career. And what I like to do is to really introduce you to what I call living legends, Black women who are out here making moves, women out here who are speaking up and speaking out in their business on behalf of their brand or even their book. And today I'm really excited because I have the pleasure of really getting to introduce to some, others you might know her, to Erica M. Roberts. Make sure you got that M in there because there's a lot of Erica Roberts out there, but there's only one Erica M. Roberts, and you want to make sure that you're following the right one. And just to give you some insight about her, I'm going to pull her up in a second, but literally, if you are a person who is all about developing as a career professional, as a leader, as an executive, as maybe even a nonprofit, entrepreneur, you're in the right place. Or maybe you're interested in getting involved in some conferences and you are interested to know really what goes on behind the scenes. You really want to tune into this because this is going to be a really, really, really good interview and conversation. So I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer. I'm going to go ahead and bring on my very special guest, Miss Erica M. Roberts. Welcome to the Speak Black Woman podcast.
Thank you, Quinn, and congratulations on having this platform to empower women and empower Black women specifically, and actually anybody. I've heard several of your previous podcasts, and the nuggets that are dropped are simply amazing. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Every now and then people kind of look at me sideways and wonder why Black women. And I'm always unapologetic by talking about I'm not, just because you are for something, then it doesn't mean you're against something else. But in this season of my life, I want to super serve these Black women because of a lot of different reasons. But more importantly, we have something to say. And I feel like we've been hushed, we've been muted, we've been silenced for way too long, whether it's in business or whether it was in our career. So if I have an opportunity to magnify, illuminate, or highlight voices like yours, sign me up. That's exactly, what I want to do. So Erica, there's so many great things that you're doing. But before we kind of get into that, I know that you have something called X is Possible LLC. And I know a little bit about that, but I know everybody else may not know a little bit about that. And the name alone is very intriguing. So can you tell us what exactly is that? What is X is Possible LLC?
X is Possible LLC is my baby. It is a personal and professional development consultancy specifically designed to reach those who have historically been left behind, underrepresented, underserved, including people of color, including Black people specifically, women and youth. And we have a number of programs such as the E-Suite Academy that specifically works with women to empower them, whether it be in their career progression or whether it be in entrepreneurship. And we have another program called HBCU Pathways Program that specifically works with youth development in looking at those post-secondary options, whether it be education, career, or entrepreneurship as well. And then also provide leadership development, coaching, individual and organizational solutions to help folks maximize their full potential.
I love that. And I love what you're doing with the HBCU. And I'm very familiar, with your E-Suite as well, which is a lot of great initiatives that you have going on. And since we've had an opportunity to cross paths, you've always been very vocal, whether it's, on a board that you sit in, whether it is a part of somebody else's venture or even running your own. Were you always vocal, or was there a point where Erica was voiceless?
Erica has never been voiceless.
You said no, that's not.
Erica has never been voiceless. Erica has always been, and I like the term you use, unapologetic. And whether that's unapologetically Black, unapologetically woman, unapologetically HBCU alum, unapologetically me. We all have a voice. We all have that power within. And quite frankly, none of the others give us permission or have the right to give us permission for anything. So in part of our coaching and in the name X is Possible, that actually represents the fact that we have limitless possibilities, but it's a matter of knowing that and embracing that and accepting that that very real truth that, we can do whatever we choose to do.
No, that's good stuff. And you're definitely an anomaly. And I'm sure you know this because I recently was on Clubhouse and they were just talking about only 1 out of 4 women have the confidence that they need to excel or grow in their business or their career. 1 out of 4. That means 3 out of 4 women do not. So you are of the majority, which is almost amazing, the 25%. Like, where did this confidence come from? Was it like your upbringing? Like, did your parents be like, oh my gosh, speak up? Or like, usually it's the opposite. So I'm just curious where this confidence and the ability to use your voice, what was that foundation? Because I know everybody else pretty much like they had to find their voice or they had to discover it. And I'm like, okay, but you seem to like, yo, this is me. It's what you're going to get.
I'm a Virgo. So my parents absolutely contributed by ensuring that I was born in September, but also supporting the voice and supporting thought. One of the reasons that so many women, and I coach, so I coach a lot of women and I coach a lot of people of color across the spectrum. And many of us are conditioned and programmed to believe that we have to have this, it's presented as a humility.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is faith-based, and I'm absolutely 100% faithful servant of God, and whatever you believe in as a higher power, let that guide you. But some religions practice or preach that you have to be humble, and folks oftentimes misunderstand that directive as, well, humility means I can't have a voice, or humility means I can't give my contributions to whatever cause is important to me and aligns with my values. And it's that misthought that keeps that 75% that you described kind of cowering in the shadows because, well, I can't really show how good I am, or I can't really put this out there because it might be perceived as aggressive. It might be perceived as extra assertive. It might be perceived as those labels that are already placed on some of us based on how we look, right? So it's part of that fear. And in many cases, it's really not their natural instinct to hide or to be voiceless. It's really what I'm supposed to do and playing the game, and that notion that this is how this is proper and this is how it's supposed to be done. So I will say that my family upbringing, the people that I have been surrounded by, the nurturing that I received at Florida A&M University, that really lets us know that, just because there is a standard way of approaching things or a perceived right way to do things doesn't mean that has to be your way. And really embracing that notion all of my life has given me voice.
No, I love it. And you said something that was so profound about being conditioned. I even heard like, you got to be twice as good. It's like these mental traumatic things that have been ingrained in us. And we work extra hard, almost to a point of burnout and stress out, to try to like overcome these imaginary hurdles that have been placed there like generations ago. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting. And, the follow-up question that I have, because I feel like both of us have kind of broken through that, right? Mm-hmm. So someone, and I always tell people like, I want to be your professional horn tutor. Like, you don't want to toot your own horn. They don't want to rock the boat. I'm like trying to flip the boat over, right? So like, what are some very practical ways that somebody's like, you know what, she's right. I have been conditioned. My mother used to always, tell me to quiet, or they didn't really encourage me to use your voice or stay in a child's place. All those things that we've kind of like known, or we know people to grow up in. And now they're like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, or I want to raise, or I'm not liking how I'm getting treated in corporate America. How do I speak up for myself where that has not been my norm? How do I overcome like that humbleness or like that mediocre? Because I feel like a lot of us, to be honest with you, that are great, we're really operating at like a 4 or 5. If we really take a look at it, we're operating at a 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. And we know that there's a 9 or a 10 or even an 8 available, but we kind of put that glass ceiling over ourselves. How can we break through that? And why is it necessary in 2021?
So that's a lot. That's a lot you just asked, and I'm gonna approach this by walking you through my model. And this, whether it's coaching or training, we always start with mindset. So the first thing is to, if you are relate to any of the descriptions that Quinn just put out there, or I need to lower myself. I realize that I've placed this glass ceiling on myself. I realize now that I'm thinking about it, that I haven't really used my voice, or I haven't really pursued my passions, or I haven't really done something to my own standard. Then recognizing that, and then saying, I know that I can change it, and I know that I have the power to change it myself, or to surround myself. I'm willing to surround myself with like-minded individuals who will be on the same path that I'm on. That's a mindset change. And so the first thing is to make certain that you're in that right mind space. And once you're there, this is the hard part. And this is, COVID, and you asked about 2021, reflect on 2020. And I tell folks that it was hard in many ways for many people, and not, demeaning any of that hardship, but it was also an opportunity. And if you look at it as an opportunity, people for the first time had to be still. They had to be with themselves. You didn't have all of the distractions of going to party or going, to bars or being around people in mindless conversation. You actually had to sit with yourself, and in some cases with your family. And in many cases, folks I've worked with them realized they didn't really like who they were as they discovered who they were, right? So that second stage is really that self-awareness. Who am I? What are my strengths? What are my priorities? What is it that at the end of these days, I want to be able to say that I've accomplished and I would actually be proud of? And recognizing those things might actually, it will definitely give you voice, because you can then speak to those things that are important, but it might also change your path. You might be in a path here that you realize, I'm only here, for the first time I'm thinking about it, I'm only here because this was somebody else's dream for me. Or I'm only here because I had never really thought about possibilities outside of this one trajectory that my mama took, my grandmama took, or my grandfather took. Right. So you want to think about that. And then the next step that I always have is, you're being real. And I'm one of the realest that you'll meet, Quinn. You're being real with yourself. So you know what? Now that I'm recognizing what my actual goals are, what's important to me, what's important to my family, what my priorities are, I'm going to recognize I might be here. I want to be here. What's missing? And being real with yourself to say, I want to be, on the business side, I want to make $1 million next year, and you haven't even formed your business yet, might not be realistic, right? So you have to say, what are the steps that I have to take? What might I have to give up in order to, or sacrifice in order to be able to take these steps in the period that I want, right? And be real with yourself on identifying those next steps, and then investing in yourself, whether it be your time, your money, your thought, investing in yourself to be able to move down that action path for success. And then once you do that, you have to really hold yourself accountable. And whether that be having a coach, whether that be following the Speak Black Women group, whether that be reading some books and knowing that, asking yourself, what would Quinn say if she was right here with me? Because I know she would call me out. It might be looking at your dog or your husband or your child or whoever it is that whose opinion you respect and who might help push you forward. You have to be willing to hold yourself accountable. And then I would say celebrate your wins as you go. So if it's that you went ahead and filed your papers, or, submitted an application for a loan or a grant or a speaking engagement, or wrote that chapter in the book, whatever it is that you said you wanted to do, celebrate those wins along the way to keep you moving.
Love it. Such great insight. And if you guys are just joining us, we're having a great conversation with Erica M. Roberts. And we're just talking about life and using your voice in your business and your career, and, having a great conversation about how, you can kind of get over that humble hurdle is what I like to call it. Like, I want to be humble. Let me stay here. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast, and head on over to speakblackwoman.com, where you can get a brand new copy of my second book called Speak Black Woman: How Women in Business Can Profit from Public Speaking. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's an awesome, amazing book. And if you want to know how you can monetize and maximize all speaking opportunities on behalf of your business, your book, or your brand, you definitely want to go ahead and check out Speak Black Woman, the book, again at speakblackwoman.com. So Erica, I am coming back over to you. You are a very busy woman. You already heard her say, not only is she a coach, she is a speaker, but what I admire about you, Erica, is you also serve. You serve with various organizations. So you're not just a leader in your business, you're a leader and you serve in other capacities. I know you've done some stuff with the MPT, with Collect. I know that you also done some stuff, you're a board leader on some organizations. So how important is it to make your voice heard on other people's platform? Because when I describe voice, I'm not just talking about the words that come out of your mouth. You're making your voice visible if you're supporting certain organizations and you're a part of their mission and vision. And I know that you are a part of the Black MBA. I mean, just a couple of organizations. So why is it important to really lend your voice to those causes as well?
That's a good question. And it's important for me to do that. And again, I believe that you define your own measures of success. One of mine is being able to give back to community and to uplift specifically Black people, Black families. And so I have connected with organizations throughout my adulthood, especially, that do that. Black MBA is one of them. But lending your voice to a platform, I started off, as a volunteer with the Leaders of Tomorrow program, really giving that example and model to high school students who, over the course of the last 15 years, some of them have PhDs and are now running things in corporate America, to also then serving on the board in a way that not only contributed to the organization, but helped me grow. I got my first grants writing experience from serving on a local board. I got leadership experience from serving on local boards. And then, I want to say that when you do that, you're not limited to what's available. I actually founded the Greater Maryland chapter of the National Black MBA Association, recognizing the need for Black entrepreneurs in Maryland, which is 30% Black, recognizing the need for mid to senior level career advancement and opportunities and professional development, which it was a gap, right? So, part of saying this is what's important to me and being aware of your priorities means then also saying, how can I leverage the networks I already have to do more? And whether that's speaking on a platform, speaking on a panel, or founding the organization itself, those are things that you can do to move forward. I'm glad you did a shout out to Maryland Public Television. And I want to say, especially for this audience who might be looking for how do I get to give my voice and lend my voice and participate in these villages, you want to think about who actually is doing what aligns with who you are and what you're speaking to. Mm-hmm. And so Maryland Public Television does that through its Forward Women's Leadership Forum. And, that's expanding. So there are so many different opportunities to get involved with organizations that not only allow you to give back through your voice, but also to give to yourself by surrounding yourself with information and resources and people that can help you grow.
No, that's amazing. I love that. And I think that's really, really good insight and your reason why. And I think that there's always room for an entrepreneurial spirit wherever you go. Like this organization already created, but they didn't have maybe like a DMV chapter. And there you go, putting on your entrepreneurial brain, seeing a need in the community and filling it. Like true role of a leader. Like, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It could be like, oh, well, there's none around where I am versus what do we need to do to start a chapter? Right. So I absolutely, love that. I want to take us in a different direction because I know there's a lot of people out there who are listening and they feel like they always need something else to be a better speaker, a better leader, a better entrepreneur, to climb the corporate ladder. It's just like, once I get my master's, then I'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. Or once I have, my PhD, or once I get another certificate, what would you say to that woman that's listening right now and they feel like they need one more thing to be a great leader, one more thing to be that exceptional speaker? Do they have enough? Depending on where they are, because I know that's probably a broad question, or for the person who, in my opinion, like I'm talking to a woman who has it. She's just kind of procrastinating and she feels like she needs something else to validate her. How can her voice be validated? What does she need to do to potentially confirm or affirm who she is and where she's at right now in her life?
She needs to, and I'm going to be real, oftentimes the folks that say, I need one more thing, that's an excuse for you not moving forward. That's an excuse to say, I'm going to limit myself to where I am right now and blame this thing. That's talk. That's what it is. That need for validation is something that is a direct indicator that you need to evaluate yourself. If you are looking for external validation to make you feel like you are contributing, to make you feel successful, then that is a direct indicator that it's time to go back to that self-awareness stage and think about who you are, what's important to you, and how you define success. Once you start to do that, then the need for the need for external validation escapes.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. And I think that is the underlying thing that people don't think about. Like when you feel that way, there's something probably self-esteemish, I don't know if that's a word, or that you're kind of struggling with that's like preventing you. Just like the whole thing of perfectionism, like, no, you're just really afraid of something else. That's a story for another day. I just want them to kind of get some insight from you. So as we're having this conversation, you know, if people are listening right now and they're like, you know what, I really want to get to know her a little bit better, you know, how can people contact you? And what do you want them to contact you for? And the reason why I asked that contact you for, because you wear multiple hats, right? And you might be like, my coaching season is done. Like right now I'm focusing on consulting or training. So how can people get in contact with you? And if they do contact you, what should they be contacting you for right now in this season?
So you can reach me on LinkedIn, Erica M. Roberts, as Quinn mentioned, look for the M, or on Facebook or Instagram at Erica Empower. And really it's that empowerment. And I call it professional empowerment. So if you are ready for career change, career advancement, or to move or grow as an entrepreneur, contact me about that so that you can get past those hurdles, many cases self-imposed hurdles, have an actual plan, and then have that accountability to reach your goals as quickly as humanly possible. I'm here for you for that.
I like that. And you mentioned too, you got some stuff coming up, right? So what is coming up that people can take advantage of as well? They're like, oh, where is she going to be? If there's any events, virtual, live, in-person, hybrid, the world is opening up, Erica. You know, face to face. Do you have anything coming up that people can take advantage of as well?
Absolutely. So throughout, in July 10th is the very first day of the Forward Women's Leadership Forum Business Boot Camp. That will be continued throughout. So stay tuned for that if you missed the July 10th date. I have eSuite Entrepreneurs, and that is a 4-week lean mastermind, startup mastermind to help women get it out of their heads and get it into a business plan that is actionable so that we are moving forward. That can happen in 2021. Don't make the same excuses in 2022 that you did in 2021. And I am very limited in my individual coaching, but we also have the Breakthrough Bootcamp, which is a 6-week group coaching experience. It also includes some training and reflection activities so that women can grow. If you find that you aren't yet in the right mindset, aren't self-aware, and don't know how to begin to know yourself, then that is for you. You can contact me again. Find me on social media at Erica Empower or LinkedIn, Erica M. Roberts.
Love it. So what is next for you? Because I feel like you're just getting started. I feel like this is the tip of the iceberg. So when you grow up, what does it look like? What does Erica M. Roberts look like, you know, in a decade from now, 2 decades from now? Like, how do you know that you're winning in life, winning in business, winning in your career? Because I do feel like, you know, your legacy is all of our legacies are just beginning. But where do you see yourself in regards to what is like, this is what I dreamed of. This is like what I want my life to be. What does that look like for you?
It actually looks very much like what I'm doing now. I am helping. I don't even want to just say empowering. I'm helping women, youth, and Black people of all ages recognize and accept their power and accept their responsibility to build individually, to build families, to build villages, to build nations. And by helping to do that, both, you know, giving them the insights and the plans and the resources to do that, but then also supporting them along that journey, we're really changing the game for what we know we can achieve and what our ancestors have achieved and what is divinely written for us to achieve in this on this earth. And so I'm living that dream already, and I continue to look forward to living that for the rest of my days.
Love it. Thank you so much. And one more time, if people are like, yes, ancestors, yes, living the rest of my days, I need more of that. One more time, Erica, how can people get connected with you?
Facebook and Instagram, find me at Erica Empower, or LinkedIn, go ahead and hit me up, Erica M. Roberts.
Okay, Miss Erica, stay around for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close, but don't you leave just yet. All right, everyone, as you can see, another fabulous episode of the Speak Black Women podcast. I don't know about you, but I was taking notes. I love the fact that Erica had great wisdom and she's always been vocal. Like, I really admire that, because a lot of the women that I meet, there's a transition period. They were voiceless. They lost their voice. They found their voice. Somebody muted them. Somebody muzzled them. And then they found their voice 20, 30 years later. So I love the fact that her family was very supportive of her speaking up, and the fact that she is not just a leader in her own business, but she has extended her leadership talents and abilities to other organizations. So if you love this particular episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast, make sure you leave a review. Also, subscribe, download, or share this episode with a friend. And again, if you want to know more about the Speak Black Woman podcast or the movement, go to speakblackwoman.com. Until next time, remember, your voice is valuable. Continue to articulate your awesomeness. And most importantly, speak up and really be an advocate, cheerleader, and champion for your voice. I'll see you next time. My name is Quinn Conyers, and I'm a proud host of the Speak Black Women podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.